I mean, what percent of cattle go into organic and natural programs? Less than 2%. In other words, the other 98% of producers and all the infrastructure support that 2%, when they advertise their product, they tear down the conventional. This came from a Safeway store in Fort Collins. On the front it says in that little red dot, from cows not treated with that horrible, nasty hormone, recombinant bovine somatotrophin. On the back of it, it says there's no difference. And there's not any difference. You can't tell the difference. Yet they market it such that look how much better it is for you. Yet that cow has a much greater carbon footprint when she doesn't get it than when she does. They want it both ways. This paper came from Stanford in 2012. They reviewed conventional and organic natural foods. Are they safer, healthier, etc.? 7 databases, almost 6,000 studies, contaminants, pesticides, resistant bacterial hormones, heavy metals. Is there a difference? No, there's not a difference. There was a similar paper published in the UK about 3 years before this paper. All the guy did was accumulate the data, write a review paper, and he got death threats. Took this photograph in an airline magazine a couple of years ago. I mean, it's really seductive. The marketing is as good as you can find. Even if you're a Southern Baptist, you want to go buy this bottle of wine. I mean, it's really, but then you read the ad and it says, from 10,000 BC, hey, how many people could agriculture of 10,000 BC support today, folks? We owe the future? There's no future with that kind of agriculture. This is a CDC graph. It's a life expectancy chart in the United States. My granddad was 12 years old in the year 2000, excuse me, in the year 1900. Average life expectancy was 47 years. Today, in the year 2013, we're right at 80. We've almost doubled life expectancy in our country in the last 115 years. Pretty phenomenal, this graph. What happened in the year 1918?
Flu.
Spanish flu. How many people did it kill in the United States? Something like 5 million. There's a great book by Gina Colonna called The Flu, and it talks about this Spanish epidemic, Spanish flu epidemic. The soldiers brought it back from World War I. It killed the very young, the guys in the prime, the ladies in the prime of their life. It didn't affect the older people like it normally does. What happened in the year 1942, and that line all of a sudden goes from feast or famine to a smooth, straight line. What was developed in 1942? Penicillin. Pretty amazing graph. So in the 1900s up to about 1930, did we have any technologies at all in agriculture? Any at all? Everything was organic and natural. We lived 55 years. On the other side of the graph, where we have about 96% of our food is conventionally raised, we're living 80 years. The World Health Organization came out with a study just this last week saying that if you eat processed meats, that increase your risk of early death by 18%, right? Remember that study? And they also said that it's highly likely that red meat causes cancer, right? I get that right? So this is not a clinical study, this is a survey, an epidemiological survey, where they ask people, what did you eat 4 years ago? Or 2 years ago? And you put it in a survey, and then they just look at your health, your overall health based upon your recall of your diet that occurred 2 and 4 years ago. So if you look at that kind of data, statistically, unless something is a 2x increase in risk factor, it's not statistically valid. 2x would be a 200% increase in your risk. Processed meats was 18%. As an example, smoking raises your risk of premature death by 1,000 percentage points, a 10x. And yet they're equating processed meats at 18% with smoking, which is a 10x increase in your risk factor. Folks, 18% is just noise. And the reason statistically is not valid is because you can't get rid of all the variables. It's a bogus report. It shouldn't even be publicized because the statistics is so bad. There's a saying that goes, simple lies are more palatable than complicated truths. So which is easier to say? 18% you're going to die from eating processed meats, or go through what I just did about epidemiological studies being invalid statistically? Simple lies are more palatable than complicated truths. We live in a culture that has about a 5-second attention And they take advantage of that. So this is the best reason I found to eat beef, found in Genesis chapter 18. What goes on in Genesis chapter 18? Abraham is outside of his tent, doing what you do when you're running your livestock operation, and 3 guys show up at Abraham's house. Who were they? God and 2 angels. So when important people come to your house, what do you want to do for them first thing? Feed them. So what did Abraham choose to feed God and the angels? A choice. That's the actual word in the New American Standard, a choice calf. And curds and milk. Folks, is this good enough for God? It should be good enough for the rest of us, right? The reason I show this is that PETA and a business suit, this is a group called the Humane Society of the United States. They're very, 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 very good at what they do. They hate agriculture, especially livestock agriculture. And what they're doing these days is they're going into the churches and they're saying, you know what, the Bible teaches that we shouldn't eat meat. Really? What's the first thing that God did for Adam and Eve when he kicked them out of the garden? First thing. He killed animals, and what did he do with them? He skinned them and gave the skins to Adam and Eve to cover their sin. The Passover, when the Israelites were still in Egypt, and the last plague that God sent to Egypt to free the Israelites was an angel of death, and it passed over your house if you had blood smeared above your door. Blood from a dead lamb. What is that a picture of, folks? The whole Old Testament is a word picture of what happens with Jesus Christ on the cross. And so when these folks say that we shouldn't eat animals, that's not only wrong, it's just blasphemous. Not even close to the truth of Scripture. 4 sons. Travis, Trevor, Troy, Trent. Someone should have warned us not the name of those crazy names. I'm the 5th generation of all males on my dad's side of the family. Had no girl cousins growing up. I know nothing about young girls, much less older women. I'm still a work in progress. But my first grandchild is a red-haired, blue-eyed girl. I'm toast. My poor wife can't drive by a clothing store and she buys this poor little girl more stuff than she did. Yes, thank you. This is Mackenzie Jean's first Christmas. She's about 1.5 years, 2 years of age here, just a little doll. Her brother was born about 2 years ago, Logan James. This is Logan's first shot at GMO corn. He liked it. This is just this summer in our backyard. And this is as good as it gets. How many grandparents in the room? It's an amazing relationship you have with your grandchildren, much better than your own children, right? You can start with grandkids, you'd have done that. Words can't describe. Do you folks think I would ever recommend anything in the food supply that will hurt these children? Not in your life. So when you guys go out and defend agriculture, not only do you need to know the facts and the data behind what we do and be able to communicate that effectively, you need to have an emotional hook. Okay, this is my hook. I would never do anything on earth to hurt these children. Figure out your own hook. Only thing that separates my children from these children is our Constitution and the agricultural community that these are worth fighting